Hello, in this video we will discuss about the anatomy of eye. So the anatomical aspect we will discuss and little bit about the physiological. So here is the eye, the general structure of the eye, which that's contain three layer. Outer layer is known as sclera, and here is the lens, light blue color showing in the figure, and here is sclera is the outer layer, and this here is the choroid, this is the middle layer, while the innermost layer, paper like thin sheet which that contain rod and cone cell, is known as the retina. So here is the pars pellicata and pars plana, which that is the ciliary-like structure is known as the ciliary body. And here is the pupil, which that is used for the dilation and constriction for accommodation of light. And here is the cornea, and this cornea is the transparent, which that is the anterior part. And here is the posterior and anterior chamber. And inside is the fluid filled cavity is known as the vitreous humor. This is the use for the nourishment and maintenance of the structure of the eye. And here is the optic nerve and blood vessel, which that is optic artery and optic vein, which that is used. And here is the fovea, which that is the black color shoe used for the accommodation of light as well as the image making. And here's the retinal layer we will discuss. That is the sensory retina and retinal pigment epithelium, which that is the lies between wall of eye and sensory retinal layer. So let's begin to understand the retina. That is very important and we should need to understand. Here is the back part of the retina, which that contain blood vessel which that is used for the nourishment and oxygenation of the eyes. So the here is the optic disc and fovea are present and macula. This is the fovea is responsible for high acuity vision. It is densely saturated with cone photoreceptor. So the cone is very important for the dim light used for the image making property. But the eyes cornea is directly contact with the air is used oxygen more through the directly for the more efficient work. So let's begin to understand. Here is the close vision and distant vision. So the close vision is here is look you can see, and this is the retina, which that make the image by the axis and the reflection of the light. So on the other hand, the close vision will lead to convex lens more, and here is the so due to the ciliary body and the oculomotor nerves. And here you can see this is the distant vision through a convex shape of the lens through a ciliary movement and the relaxation of the eye pupil. So let's begin to understand. This is the basically the pupil is used for the dilation and constriction for the light absorption. And here is let's begin to understand the cross section of the basically the bigger picture of the retina, which contain rod and cone cell and bipolar cell. Bipolar cell are present between the nerve fiber and optic nerve fiber, and here is the cones, which that is a cone and rods. So the cones are activate higher light levels photopic vision, and that is the capable of color vision and responsible for high specific spatial acuity. So the photopic vision. So sorry, that was the cones. Basically is the cone is used for the photopic vision, while the rod is are responsible for vision at low light level. So that was my mistake, so you can understand as well. And here's the basically the vision through a dim light, which that is a low light level scotopic vision, no color and low spatial acuity. So that is why the dark place which that show the less color, while the light place which that show the more color, because the cone cell work and the cone cell is used for the distinguishing of the color. So here is I am drawing the bigger picture while understanding the interior part of the eye. When light will be fall on the pupil will dilate and the lens will can be convex or concave on the basis of the distance, distant vision or close vision. And this is the anterior chamber and posterior chamber. And this is the ciliary body will be attached is known as the zonular fiber. This is the zonular fiber. And on the other hand, this is the limbal region. This is the limbal region, and conjunctiva are present, which that is eyelid. Eyelid is used for the lubrication, as well as eyelid is used for the protection, and that is basically give the lubrication through a watery material and lysozyme that will protect against the bacteria. So here is the iris, which that show the color. That is why the different person contain different type of eye on the basis of different color. So that is why the appearance through iris, and inside the pupil is the basically is the hole like structure. So here is the complex eye is basically the characteristic of the animals for more accurate color light than the compound and simple eye in the way the complex eye is adaptive. So that is why the cat contain rhodopsin more. So the more rhodopsin will show the red color during the night time, and it can distinguish the color due to the more rhodopsin will when rhodopsin will be more, so the light will be low to absorb more. So here is, let's begin to understand the normal pupil, which that is normally delayed or constrict normally, and pupil, which that is the ciliary body will control it, and the pupil will normally. When the pupil will be delayed, so the ciliary body is basically wider, and the dilated pupil will due to the sympathetic nervous system activation and the sympathetic nerve fiber stimulation. So in this way, the pupil will be delayed for more light absorption and focusing, so more alertness, and that is why the more light will be fall into the pupil for absorption of the light and give the signal and give the response more quickly. While during the constricted pupil, that is the parasympathetic nerve fiber stimulation, and in this way the constriction of the eyes will less, and that is why the light accommodation will be less and ignoring properties more in the light. So the muscle of eye, let's begin to understand. There are a lot of muscle which that will control the eye movement, left, up, right in the same stature. For example, the same direction. We can rotate eyes due to the muscles. So the oblique muscle, inferior. Let's begin to understand here. This is a bone which that is contain a common tendinous ring, and the common tendinous ring and the superior oblique tendon are also present. This is the superior oblique tendon. This tendon is very important, which that is bone to muscle attachment, and ligament is basically the muscle to muscle attachment. So remember that bone to muscle attachment is the tendon. And here is the superior rectus muscle and the lateral rectus muscle, inferior oblique muscle, and common inferior rectus muscle. Inferior rectus muscle is used for the downward. After the contraction, the eyes will move downward, the cornea will move downward. This is the lateral view. And if the superior oblique muscle, superior rectus muscle will be contracted, so the eye can be move upward in the same stature or in the same non-motional head. So here you can see this is the front view we can see, and in this way here is the inferior oblique muscle, and it can be used for the left and right movement, while the up and down movement is due to the inferior rectus muscle contraction, as well as the superior oblique muscle and medial rectus muscle basically is used for the up and down, and the superior rectus muscle and oblique muscle is used for the rotation and the contraction of the upward and downward due to the rectus muscle, inferior and superior and lateral. So here is the rod cell. This is the rod cell. Let's begin to understand again. This is the rod cell contain that is used for the phototransduction. So what is the meaning of phototransduction? It means the rod cell will produce the glutamate, the neurotransmitter will bind with the nerve fiber, the optic nerve, to stimulate the signal toward the brain. So here is, you can see, this is the basically the cross section of the rod cell, which contain inner side is known as the lining, which that contains stack like structure. And in this way, here is the structure is that, and here is the rhodopsin, which that is contained with the opsin plus 11 cis retinal, that is the vitamin A. 11 cis retinal, that is the trans retinal to 11 cis retinal formation. After this binding, the rhodopsin will trigger the phosphodiesterase enzyme, and this rhodopsin and also the transducin contain trimeric protein alpha, beta, and gamma. Alpha contains GDP will activate through this mechanism. Rhodopsin will activate and phosphodiesterase enzyme will be activated to convert the alpha GTP from the GDP active form will transduction, and in this way the transducin 800, which that is increase the GMP. This GMP will be increased by the activation of the transducin, and on the other hand, this transducin will produce more cyclic GMP, guanosine monophosphate, and this guanosine monophosphate basically used for the used for the inhibition of the sodium influx. So the sodium will be inhibited while the uh, cyclic GMP will trigger, but GMP will be inhibited. So the GMP will be more due to the transducing action and the breakdown of the cyclic GMP into the GMP, guanosine monophosphate, will inhibit the sodium influx. So the hyperpolarization due to the efflux of the potassium will be more. So in this way, the arrestin can be inhibit that things and will during the rest state. So that was the that was the anatomy of eye. I hope you make sense about this. Thanks for watching. Bye.